what's commonly referred to as the big three, or if I can pull up my old anime fan card. I know I'm not actually old, but it gives me the ability to say, back in my day, when we called it the HST, the Holy Shonen Trinity, the three pillars of that were Naruto, One Piece, and Bleach. And out of the three, the one that really caught my eye first was Naruto, but I also really enjoyed Bleach. I enjoy One Piece, but I was never really a big One Piece guy. And I thought Naruto was my favorite out of the three for a long time, but I think it was just really when I started to think about the three of them together. The one that I remembered the most scenes from, I remember the most, like, general characters and the different points, and then, like, thinking about those points, which ones got me, like, the most hyped and the most just excited to either rewatch or reread. It was always actually Bleach. Now, the other two definitely have parts that I very much enjoy. I can rewatch, like, something like Naruto versus Neji, or Naruto versus Sasuke, or like the first time like Sasuke uses Chidori, like stuff like that, or something like Luffy beating Rob Lucci. Things like that will always like have hype, but like Bleach has way more of those kind of scenes for me. I know some people probably think the same way about like in for Naruto or One Piece, but out of those three, Bleach was always my favorite. After I realized it, that is. Like, I guess I can't say always and then be like, well, at first I thought it was Naruto. But really, it was Bleach. I think I just thought way more about Naruto just because it was way more popular at the time. And so, just talk about Naruto more. But, like, the one that I just, it stuck with me the most was Bleach. And I remember when Bleach, the manga ended, it had, like, an unfortunately rushed last bit. But that's because of Kubo's health issues, like stuff with his shoulder and whatnot. But I really liked that he did stuff with the novels. Now I've watched videos on the novels, like lore from the novels. I haven't read them only until recently. The novels were only in Japanese, so it was only through like translations and then like specifically Bleach YouTubers that would do videos talking about specific things from the extended novel lore that we were able to kind of like get further glimpses into Kubo's ideas that Bleach had there. I don't think he puts like the full, like he does everything for the novels, but I know he puts in parts and then he admins them, so he's looking over them to make sure they fit the canon, and he likes how like stuff works. Even like if another writer like writes it in full, if Kubo gives it the approval, then if it's set to fit in canon, Kubo says it is, then it is canon. That's how it works. That's like how like a lot of the spin-offs are for Fairy Tail. Like Hiroshima looks over them and he makes sure that they, they'll make sense to the story. Bam, they can fit in. Bam, they're part of the story. These manga at the end of the day are they're the gods of their own creative entity. They control what goes on. So, like, we had all that stuff with Bleach, and then we got Burn the Witch. And I remember when Burn the Witch first came out, I thought it was pretty cool, and then there was that last couple of pages when it said Soul Society West. I can't remember if it's Soul Society East or West, but then people pointed out that if you put like specific points in Burn the Witch, it spells Bleach. And then we got just like the couple of chapters, was it like last year, and then the anime episodes, and then now we have this. We have what I thought was just going to be like a fun chapter. Like, thought it was just going to be like kind of like showing where the characters are at now. Maybe they fight some like powerful Arrancar that shows up. Maybe it could literally just be like some other character that we forgot about, that it's like, oh yeah, well I got stronger over X period of time over all these years and like ate all these other powerful hollows, and even though I was not that strong back then, I'm way stronger now. Like something like that. Like some form of just random kind of off character that was never shown to be fully dead. Kubo's like, well, I didn't actually kill him, so I can still use them, and then like have some reason for them to kind of show up. But this gave a lot of huge lore stuff. This was massive in the Bleach universe. And I'll give an example, because like obviously like the main thing I do on my channel is Fairy Tail. So slight spoilers, just skip ahead a little bit if you care anything about like Fairy Tail spoilers. I won't go too much into it, but at the events of the last arc in Alvarez, one of my theories before we got 100 Years Quest was like, because the presence of Zeref and Acnologia were no longer there, that other powerful like destructive forces in the world could come out, because maybe it's just like, yeah, you had other people that were also really dangerous, but they were just these two extremely dangerous, like way more powerful people out there they didn't want to deal with. And we ended up getting essentially that with the Dragon Gods. And it was because of that we got, like, a massive amount of general just new, like, lore and, like, set for the world. Like, that by itself set a much grander stage for the series from where it left off, where it was like, okay, it seems like everything's calmed down and maybe the characters can kind of just go on, like, random adventures and fight some bad guys, but nobody, like, too crazy compared to, like, those end bosses. And that's what we're getting with Bleach. Like, this was a really crazy chapter. Like, you get, like, the whole opening bit where the kids, like, talking about a goldfish and how, like, the bigger one died, but, like, after the bigger one died, the smaller one that he thought, like, wasn't going to grow anymore ended up growing larger, probably had more food, more time to, more area to roam around, more space for itself. And that clearly had to do with, like, content in the chapter itself and stuff that was going to be revealed. Like, we see a little bit with Kazui, and I'm so curious as to, like, his level of potential and his, like, role in all this. Because, like, one thing that, like, a lot of people always point out near the end of, like, that last chapter of Bleach is Hiyori wasn't even able to really catch Kazui at all. I think I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Let me go back on it. Like, I pulled up the chapter to make sure I don't mess up anything specific. I gotta get any name that I can pronounce, because, like, anybody, obviously, who's gone through Bleach knows Kubo likes to make some names that can be really crazy. Like, you look at, some of the general layouts for, like, the Stern Ritters, and, like, they're kind of crazy as well, and, like, a lot of the Arankars and whatnot. So, if I get any names wrong, don't get mad at me. Like, it's different than, like, a series where it's just, like, you're pronouncing it slightly different. Like, Kubo is known to have really strange names, so I don't think anybody's gonna get too mad if you mispronounce one that is, like, intentionally made by Kubo to be really crazy. But any of them that I can pronounce, I hope to at least give my best efforts for. So Kazui, like, seemingly was faster than Hiyori at the end, and he's only, like, a little kid, so obviously, like, very high level of potential there, and obviously, like, where his parents are. But he has a really interesting ability that he can just turn on his Shinigami powers. Like, it just looks like the black Ryotsu just kind of comes out of his body and then envelops him, kind of like a Shuhakusho. And that's actually one of the most interesting bits I saw in the chapter. Like, I know there's a bunch of lore stuff, but, like, this is big by itself, because, like, Ichigo had to have a way to pretty much pull his soul out of his body to use his Soul Reaper abilities. But, like, if this is a ability that has been developed, like, say Ichigo can do this, or, well, I mean, I guess there's not a lot of other humans with Soul Reaper powers like Ichigo, but say Ichigo can do this, this would be really big for him, because that would completely take away, like, something that would still be a pretty significant nerf to him if he couldn't switch into his Soul Reaper status without either, you know, one of the... actually, I can use a Soul Reaper badge, can he? I'm trying to remember, but I know that's still a thing, but it's still similar to, like, Cone and stuff. He has to have a way to do it, but, like, he has to... Like, it's still something he has to have on him. Like, it's an item that is required for him to be able to... It's weird, like, I'm trying to remember so hard if his Soul Reaper badge can, like, eject his soul out. It's funny, it's such a, like, staple thing in the series, especially, like, it's an iconic piece of Ichigo's character, and was, like, even, like, a bit of a plot point during the Fullbringer arc. But, I mean, I'm kind of happy about it, only from the standpoint it means that I'm good to reread Bleach and rewatch Bleach and still be able to, like, get refreshed, and I'm not going to be, like, remembering every single aspect, and there's going to be stuff that I'm going to be like, oh yeah, cool. So that's hype in itself, because usually I rewatch Bleach, like, every other year, just, like, binge through it, put it on, and, like, in the background, or if I'm doing something, like, put it on as I'm going to sleep. Just something that, you know, have within the vicinity while I'm generally just, you know, doing something else, or just sitting down and watching Bleach. So, if that's something Ichigo can do, that would be really cool as well. If it's unique specifically to Kazui, I mean, that's cool as well. That could be something really useful to him, and if Kubo wants to do, like, a next-gen thing, you would completely push out the whole weakness of, like, having to need some form of item to go into his Soul Reaper status. But there's just, like, some bits with him. He's talking to, like, a soul, and he does, like, this, like, weird ritual that opens up a portal. And I couldn't tell if it was supposed to be more like one of the Soul Reaper ones, or if it was a Garganta, because it does look like it has teeth. But I think it might be a Hell one, because we see, like, Hell butterflies and stuff. Like, there's definitely, like, something in there that I feel like I'm missing. You know, correct me if I'm wrong on there. But during the chapter, like, you just kind of get that first bit. You have some parts with with Ichika, and you have her training with you have her training with I like how it's like the easiest characters for like stuff for me to remember, like Ikaku, and here comes in Yumichika. And again, it's funny because I remember them, like I look at them and I recognize the characters, I remember scenes with them, but I think I was just drawing a blank because it's been a bit since I've really otherwise gone into Bleach. Like most of the time I talk about Bleach now, it's pretty much just in like conversation when it's like other people who miss Bleach are just having some nostalgia parts. But like you have some normal stuff, you have like Renji talking to Ichigo, and they're kind of reminiscing a little bit, a tiny bit, just having a conversation. Seems the Soul Society has some kind of essentially phones and television now that goes to like the world of the living. And Ruki, I like Ruki's new design. I do still really like Renji's design. Renji's still probably my favorite character in Bleach. Like overall, I definitely would like Renji probably the most. And I do really miss his old Bankai. I know Hihio Zabimaru was pretty much just a big beat stick. Like it was just this giant smashy weapon that, you know, could reform and then shoot big energy blasts. But I liked it. It was badass, simplistic, and it was just really cool to see visually. Like it had literally everything that I would hope. The only thing that it really didn't have was like any super broken powers. But I mean, like its ability to reform with Ryatsu is still really cool in of itself, even if it's not like the most like OP ability around. Also, I just wanted to comment on Mayuri's new design. Like Kupo just loves to go out of his way to make his outfits so strange. And I wanted us to talk some bits about kind of like the chapter itself and not kind of like recap the whole thing, because one, it's really long, but also I wanted to talk more about like some of the additional bits. Like we see some new characters. I do really like the new lieutenant for, I think she's the 8th division over in Lisa's division. I like her design a lot, and I really like the part later when we see her fight when she's got like those like, she does like this kind of like crunching attack and makes like this, like I assume the bear behind her is more for the visual. Maybe it's out of her Ryatsu though, and she's able to kind of form that to attack. But there's a point where Ichika's like looking onward, and she sees like this really weird looking monster behind Ichigo and Renji, and they don't notice. And I was thinking it was a hollow, and it looked so strange because it's just like it has like the arms and legs all skeletal wise, but then it has a tiny rib cage and these 2 rings. And there's an explanation that the rings, they're like, they have a tie to like hollows that go to hell. Like their hollow hole goes outside of their body, and people then just start getting messed up by all these creatures. And I was gonna say hollows, but like I think there's a point where they even say like they aren't hollows. It's just kind of like it's like some hell mutated kind of versions of them. And I'm wondering if there was a name for them in the chapter. Please tell me. But I definitely like the more kind of like a little bit extra spooky, kind of like undead design that's added to them. We do see some just different kind of techniques going around. One of the new vice captains, he uses his Shikai. I assume it's at least a Shikai, because he does a release command, and he uses a Taka, you know, hawk, and it's like these talismans, and he swings it, and all these birds come out, and they just fly right through the creature and like strip it clean. And that's when you get the new female vice captain, and she like just climbs up one. And I did note she's like breaking the bones of it as she's running, so clearly she's a physical powerhouse kind of character, because it's not just the attack that she uses. Once she lands and she's stepping, like the whole bone that she's landing on is cracking and breaking apart. And then I think that's the visual of the bear isn't just because like, oh, it's a cool attack. I'm guessing that's going to be like the animal that she has like the whole time, like just this big physical monster kind of character. She just rips right through this dude, kind of tears him apart, and we get, I can't remember the guy's name. It's really weird because he's like a character that's existed for a long time. I think he's the new vice captain of Mayuri's division. I think his name's Akon. I can't remember entirely. Like, it's weird because, like I said, he's a character that for some reason Kubo has, like, he's been around, and we'll randomly see him at parts, but he oddly enough, like, is able to get a scene here, and he does this really cool bit where he melts one of the creatures. I thought that was really neat. You have Izuru Kira coming in. He's just doing his thing, you know, probably pulling out Ubisuke and making these guys way heavier and smashing them up. I'm curious if he's got his Bankai yet. Like, he's one of the ones that I'm super curious if he can, because like I feel like him, like, he's one of the ones that Kubo clearly liked, and he was already, like, a vice captain. It's been, what, like, I can't remember the exact time frame. I think it's been, like, 15, 12 years, something around that. He should have it, because logically, if he obtained it somewhere after Bleach, like, the end of Bleach, like, after all the Wako Mundo, or not Wako Mundo stuff, the stuff with the Quincy's and everything, he logically would be able to have mastered his Bankai in that time frame, because remember Byakuya has said that it takes about 10 years to master your Bankai after you unlock it. Then a dude, actually no, okay, I just noticed rereading, and I always have fun when and I get excited whenever I'm like I notice something that I asked or didn't realize during the first part. But I was going to mention that the character shows up, and I was really curious who's going to be, and I was so surprised when I read the chapter the first time and saw it was, again, name I don't think I'm going to pronounce right, Slizel Apro. Yeah, I've known this dude forever. Like, again, I was watching Bleach, around, I would say, like, I saw probably him for the first time when the dubbed episode came out, and it was, like, shortly before I switched to the anime, and then eventually went to the manga. But, like, I remember him for, I've known him since at least whenever the anime episodes where, like, he was introduced and he had his fights with Uryu and Renji. I still can't pronounce his name. But when he's coming out of, like, the, some form of portal, I'm assuming the portal to hell, and it's, like, he's, like, weirdly coming out of what looks like black tar. The portal has the same teeth as the portal that Kazui went in, so I'm guessing Kazui's portal is to hell. So, he might be. I thought my cat just, sometimes she hits one of the buttons and it ends up ending my recording, and I thought she did that, so I gave out like a damn it kind of cipher Sam. But added lore. But him in there, he's giving some just general information. That's when we find out, like, once you go to hell, like, when you get cast into hell, your hollow hole leave your body, and you have, like, all this blood coming out of, like, his head, and he's got these sick new horns. He looks badass, and he gives us information on, apparently, there's a rank, like a rating for Ryatsu concentration, and they're saying how it's like, pretty much like normal people, like normal Soul Reapers, they have 20th class, and then like a assistant captain is somewhere between 4 and 5, obviously like vice captain, and then captains and higher are 3rd level, and part of it is like they do a whole ceremony, so when one of them dies, their Ryatsu, like, naturally reforms and kind of, like, melds back with the natural Ryatsu. But for the people 3 and up, they actually don't. They end up getting cast down to hell, which is really cool. And the question I have on that is exactly, if these guys are all in hell, are they going to end up being, like, I see this going 2 ways. Either they are antagonists, they're going to be like hell forsaken versions of them. Like, we could get villain Yamamoto, which is crazy, villain Unohana, which is crazy, just anybody around those lines. We can get older Kenpachis, dead captains. We could just get characters that, just at some point die in the series, just kind of coming back for maybe like a chapter to be cannon fodder. Like, we could get Grand Fisher coming back, or somebody, somebody that it's like, yeah, Kubo would just kind of throw them in just for the design and kind of like the nostalgia, but also being like, yeah, these guys are all coming back. Because they're saying how all the people that kept getting sent down to hell, their Ryatsu essentially was just too much, and it's pretty much forcing the doors of hell open. So now these guys are starting to, being capable of escaping. But when I said that there's 2 routes, either I think the people go down to hell, that they are turn into antagonist versions, but I'm guessing that if that's the case, there might be a choice, because the other one, my other idea would be like, if they're kind of like Hell Warden type characters, maybe they're almost like pretty much the jailers down there, keeping all these guys in line, making sure they don't get out. Or there could be something both, where it's like you're put down there and you have an option of which kind of like side you're going, kind of like free will, but you're stuck in hell. You are no matter what chained down to hell, but at the same time, it's like, do you want to be aligned good, or do you want to be aligned bad? I mean, I guess not good or bad, but like, do you want to be like some psycho who wants to escape and cause havoc, or are you going to be one of the people that, tries to keep all these dudes down there? Because at the end of the chapter, or I guess like near the end of the chapter, like last handful of pages, Slizel gets stabbed through the chest, and he even mentions that it's Jushiro Ukitake, and we see his Shikai come out, one of his swords. I'm trying to remember what it's called, Soto no Katawari. I think like he's oddly enough one of the ones that I remember because like I've had many discussions of the fact that Kubo has like Kubo did it very oddly with like not even showing his Bankai and stuff like that. Like he's a character that had been in the series very early, and he had many opportunities that he could have been shown like his full capabilities and stuff, but he never really got like a direct one-on-one fight. It was really odd the way that Kubo handled his character, but his sword comes out and stabs him, and it's like he's dragging him back into hell. So I'm wondering, like, if he's down there pulling these dudes back in, does that mean that there's gonna be people that were forced into hell that are fine with pulling these dudes back in, like again, like keeping them in check? Because like I said, there could easily be people that are against the fact they're now stuck in hell, but there's also going to be people that are like, no, we need to keep all these psychos down here. We need to make sure that they don't get back up to the world of the living or even in the Soul Society because of the kind of chaos they could bring. So this is really hype because now we're getting an actual new arc. And I don't know how long it's going to be. I'm actually really hoping that Kubo is treated kind of like how Ishida is with Chojin X. Because I know one of the issues near the end portions of Tokyo Ghoul was that Ishida was like he just didn't have the amount of probably time he had that he wanted. He like it was just a scheduled thing, but also like he was all stressed out. Whereas like now he can put out chapters at his own pace. So it's like if he's stressed out about something, he can take a little longer. If he's like, you know, in a rhythm, he's on his grind, he's gonna put something out way faster. I'm hoping that's going to be the case with Kubo, because once you have the established fan base, like they'll be fine. The Bleach fans will be perfectly fine if they have to wait like this monthly, if they only get a couple of chapters per year. Just getting new Bleach content is really hype, and especially when it's in manga format, because Kubo's art is great. I've always loved Kubo's art, and I can't wait to see what ideas he comes with, because like I said earlier, like the idea of like, hey, all these new bad guys pop up, but also it's not just new enemies, it's new enemies because of events in the old lore that now open up stuff in the new lore, similar to what happened with 100 Years Quest and Fairy Tail. Now it's going with Bleach, with like hell seemingly being on the brink of like just kind of being like out of control because of like all those super powerful Ryatsu that ends up going down there. Which makes you wonder, what's gonna happen if Ichigo dies? Like when Ichigo dies, is he going to... Like, I assume that if he died, like, just like somebody, you know, if he just died of old age, let's say, he would go to the Soul Society, but if he died there, given how much Ryatsu he has, wouldn't that, like, be way more of a problem? Or is he just gonna go straight into hell and then kind of, like, be the overall kind of, like, guardian of hell? That could be his thing. I know there was, like, the Hellverse movie is not canon, but the events, like, some of the events, like, obviously, like, the end, you see that, like, sick golden skull outfit for Ichigo. If Kubo wanted to kind of take those ideas and then forge it in a way to make it canon, kind of like how they did with Broly's movie. How they kind of, like, took the general ideas of, like, Broly's character, worked it into a way that fit into the actual canon, but then improved upon it to make it even better. So, we'll see. It's definitely longer than I thought this video was going to be, just because I mostly wanted to talk about Bleach in general, and not just talk about the chapter and just kind of, like, go for a 1v1, because versus, like, a weekly review on, like, a chapter, it's going to be, like, especially newer series, it's going to be talking about specifically, like, key things that, like, I notice, or, oh, what this could mean for the next chapter, oh, this character is doing this there. This is, like, a full new, big, grand opening. This is, like, if all of a sudden Kubo just wanted to tell us, like, hey, I'm going to lay this on the table, and it'd be like a pamphlet about things that are up and coming. You just want to read all about it. Like a trailer to a movie. He's just showing you bits and giving you important more information, but it's also expanding upon stuff that already exists. So I'm super hyped about that. But anyway, other than that, comment below. Tell me your thoughts are about on this whole new Bleach arc. Like, whether, you know, you think it's going to be monthly or what. Again, I'm perfectly fine if Kubo goes at his own pace and takes his time, because his health is important, and it's been years, obviously, since, like, an actual Bleach chapter. Bleach, I think, ended in 2016, if I recall. I think it was around summer 2016. I vaguely remember, because I think it ended around 1 year before Fairy Tail did. And I think Bleach ended in August. Now that I remember, I know August, September. I don't know the actual month. I just remember it was like a year before Fairy Tail ended, and I remember Fairy Tail was like July 2017. Before, like, a year later, we got 100 Years Quest and stuff. Anyway, I I'm sure like any Bleach fan is gonna be like fully fine with like, Kubo, take your time, do your thing. We waited years for even this. We're fine with if it's like a monthly or it's like bi-monthly or what. We just want Kubo. Like imagine if we get another 70-page chapter just like every few months. That'd be hype. Anyway, other than that, comment below, thumbs up the video, friend, like button, subscribe, and check out my other videos. Man, I appreciate it. Subscribe. Thank you all for listening.